Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Group Chat. We have an action-packed episode today. We are talking about Uber and how they're now working with taxis in New York City. We are talking about how many people got paid on Spotify last year. A lot of shit talking goes on about Spotify, and this is going to be interesting. The 5 most boring and exciting jobs in America, according to a recent study. Fascinating group of answers here. And finally, we're going to end this episode. Winners, losers, content. Let's go.
Cash.
Ladies and gentlemen, group chat.
Cash.
It's $1 trillion. Hot.
Happy end of the week, kind of.
Kind of, yeah.
I mean, it is. It's like this is like our end of the week episode, but like I feel like it's midday Thursday. Can't quite give up yet.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is like people listening are probably listening on a Friday, but we're just like still in the thick of it.
We're trying to have like the Friday energy, but from the thick
Thursday.
of
Yeah.
it. You guys want to discuss some news topics?
Let's do that.
Let's talk about, we've been talking a lot about Super Pumped, the Uber show. Anand loves it.
Yep.
I'm not so much of a fan. You watched it, D, or you just hated it before even watching it?
No, I actually was excited to watch it. I just I've watched whatever the first 3 episodes, I think. It's just now that I compare it to We Crashed, which is just iconic.
I still haven't started that.
Well, the
Yeah, I'll start
acting's
that
not
this weekend.
comparable. That's
Yeah.
the problem.
Yeah, I mean, you have Jared Leto and Anne Hathaway. It's just unbelievable.
I mean, even I don't. You have what's her name in Super Pumped, Uma Thurman, but I still don't like it.
yeah, Uma Thurman plays Ariana Huffington, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Well, the thing is, the Ariana Huffington really didn't play like that crazy of a role in Uber.
And that's
So
not
she-
according to the TV show.
Yeah.
Plus, Ariana Huffington just isn't as young as I don't know. I don't know. But it's not even like you get like Uma Thurman's like incredible acting.
Yeah, because
Really,
yeah, I mean, it's just yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, anyway, we're not even talking about that. I'm talking about Uber. Uber. That was like for no reason a diss. But so the whole thing about Uber, like I would say the big thing, and the
Do
reason
you
why
know
I
how many
thought
people
of
you dissed in that? You dissed the show. You dissed Uber.
You just Uber, Brian Koppelman, Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Uma
No,
Thurman.
but
Thurman.
Uma Thurman and
Showtime.
Ariana Huffington.
Ariana
She's
Huffington.
old. You just elderly.
Wow. I did cover a lot of ground really quickly.
And efficiently, I must say.
For just a sidebar. I just smoked like 20 people on a sidebar. Okay, well, that's not even what I'm talking about. But you will see if you watch Super Pumped that like one of the biggest things Uber was like known for, or is known for, and one of their biggest battles in the beginning was essentially like taking out the taxi industry, right? So their biggest detractors in the beginning were taxi drivers and taxi commissions. And Uber's, I think it's safe to say Uber's kind of the taxi killer, right? Especially in New York, you still see a lot of taxis. LA, you see like none. I mean, it's like you might as well see a horse and buggy.
Yeah.
The
It
only
makes no
place
sense.
in LA that I've seen a taxi is the Grove. There's
Yeah,
like
maybe-
one lingering around the Grove.
There's like one just lonely taxi. And then is there any at the airport?
Yeah. There's
You-
definitely at in the airport. There's still taxis.
But you have to
Okay.
take the shuttle to get to that spot, right?
Yeah.
It's where the Uber X's are.
Yeah, they fucked up by painting those things bright yellow. Like at least Ubers can sneak through.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's the whole thing. The taxi killer, right?
Yep.
Uber is adding a new feature to their app in New York where you can now call a taxi.
You know who would not be super pumped is Travis Kalanick. This is
He's
blasphemy.
probably shitting his pants. He's probably so mad.
So it's rolling out to a limited number of New York users, and then eventually it'll roll out fully by the summer. They expect the cost to be the same as UberX, so that's a good sign. The thing I don't understand is what's Uber's take rate on it. Like, how are they, are they just doing it as a convenience to their user because there's just not enough drivers, or do they actually believe this is a true solution? I mean, kudos to the New York City taxi drivers. They fucking fought it out and they're
They
here.
survived.
They
Yeah,
survived.
there were a bunch of little Travises.
Taxis in New York City are never ever going away. Like, just until autonomous vehicles come, those guys are gonna have their yellow taxis and they're gonna keep driving.
I bet you they'll still be there. They'll be like every car is autonomous and then taxi.
Yeah, I mean, there's still 14,000 cabs.
Yeah.
I mean,
guys-
fine, good for the taxi industry. Like, no hate on that, but this is why like no one's like long Uber over the long term.
Stocks up.
Stock's up, but
I like it. I think
stock's trading below where it traded in the private markets in 2016. There's been zero growth in 6 years.
that sounds like the investor's problem, not mine.
No one said it's your problem. I'm just saying the company hasn't appreciated in 6 years. Think about that.
It was overvalued to begin with.
Isn't it like the interesting predicament of like you have a Travis who's such a beast, but had a lot of shortcomings, I guess, and culture problems and stuff, and then new leadership where you don't have any of those culture problems, or at least you don't hear about them. But like, do you have that same like intensity? And
It's so right.
Grow?
It's like completely the opposite of how the Apple story transformed. Tim Cook didn't even have to innovate because Apple was so far ahead and there was no alternative that the customer wanted. Uber wasn't at that place yet. They hadn't innovated enough to basically hand it off to the cost-cutting CEO.
Yeah.
There was still so much innovation to come.
And by the way, the business wasn't making money and isn't making money and is not going to make money.
Yeah, so Apple could afford to do that when you have $300 billion in cash. Get someone who could just steer the ship, avoid glaciers, and keep sailing.
Yeah. That's the
I
problem.
would also argue that like Tim Cook went on and like where Steve Jobs innovated like product or hardware, I think Tim Cook like really innovated content and sort of lock in and all those things.
He innovated revenue.
Yeah, he knew how to drive revenue. Yeah.
It seems like Uber was just more like, okay, let's just save face.
Yeah, Apple was the made man, so to speak, whereas Uber had so much to figure out if they really wanted to be a transformational company in the next iteration. Obviously, it was a transformational company leading up to Travis's ouster, but it wasn't a made man, like a lot needed to figure out. You have to continue to innovate. Your Uber Eats was getting your ass kicked by DoorDash. They went and bought Postmates. I guarantee DoorDash is kicking their ass in that currently. They didn't get into groceries. Like, why aren't you in groceries?
I guess my question is like, is the CEO just bad?
The CEO was put in there to take the company public, and that is it. Bill Gurley wanted his fucking bag. That's why he was put in.
It just almost seems like you should have crossed that bridge and then got someone else. Because like, look, Tim Cook, I think it's easy to say, this is just my opinion. I think it's easy to say like Apple was like sort of made and all Tim Cook had to do was like get the cash out and make it a good business. But I think Tim Cook has proven to be a very different, but also really, really brilliant CEO. And it just seems like, I'm doing a lot of judging from afar, but it seems like with Uber, it's just a case of like, what exactly was even like done here except for bettering the image? I mean, that was done, sure. But like what moves were made?
Yeah, and so that's investors have to always, this is a decision investors always have to make. Like there's a lot of great leaders that rub people the wrong way, but if all you care about is money, you can't have it all.
No, but the thing is with the Uber investors, and I'm sure the show will portray it, whoever is still watching, because you guys hate it.
I'll watch it through.
I'm still gonna hate watch it.
Yeah,
so
I hate watch everything.
They're gonna showcase how Travis was unhinged and investors did the right thing, get the adults in the room. But if the honest truth is, the entire board, all the major investors, their cost basis was so low, they just wanted to get the damn thing public. And Travis probably would have delayed the IPO, keep burning cash, build new products, and their basis was so low. Like at the time, outside of the big tech, like early investors, there was nothing bigger at the time in terms of return. Like if you invested at $100 million valuation and the company's at like 65 billion, you don't care if it's Dara, Travis, Greg, John. They just like give me my return.
Yeah. I just wonder, like, I don't know Travis personally, and I don't, maybe I'm wrong and maybe he's a dick, but like, I feel like the show, like, it's pretty brutal. I think when the show is over, the way that you're going to be left, if you're just your average person who doesn't really know, the way you're going to be left feeling about the type of person Travis is, I think is really, like, I think they're going to just obliterate him.
Yeah.
They're gonna make it so nasty. Imagine Bill Gurley. Like, you're hating on Travis. He made your entire career.
And he gets to look great in a movie.
And you got Kyle,
like a superhero.
And you get you're the
so he won. He won big.
He's the Batman of fucking startups, right?
Yeah, he won every which way.
He buried Travis to do it. It's just like, oh, you want to talk about a savage move?
Yeah.
Like Bill Gurley, when this is over, it's going to be number one because of all of his money, his Uber investment, and the way he was portrayed on this show. He's going to go to another level, and Travis is just going to get fucking buried when it comes to public perception.
Yeah, no, it's quite the chess move because he knows the showrunner, Brian Koppelman, so he was able to just be like, hey, this is actually what happened. I saved the day.
I mean, it literally feels like he has like a glow around him when he walks in a room on that show.
Yeah.
Well, that's what they wanted. They intended.
It's not fair. Like I said, maybe he deserves it. I don't know him personally, but if not, I feel bad for him because once you get locked in that way as a character, that's how you're perceived. Like
What's interesting
as far as the public is concerned, that's who you are.
Bill Gurley's Benchmark Capital, right? Benchmark was also WeWork. Benchmark Investments make TV shows.
That's maybe Bill Gurley? Is Kyle Chandler going to jump over to WeCrash?
A lot of content.
Yeah, Benchmark should just put out a studio.
I mean,
just think it's a fucking circus. If you got like multiple hit shows out of your fucking.
Can I tell you the biggest takeaway? Because I've watched a little bit of both of those shows. The biggest takeaway: do not have company parties with alcohol.
Yeah.
We learned that years ago.
Yeah, I mean, you just cannot. We got very fortunate that we were able to throw these awesome events and came unscathed. But when you look at like what brought down like a big part of the Uber culture or the WeWork culture and the company, and where does sex happen when alcohol shows up? Mm-hmm. And you just can't what I've realized, as a founder, it's like you got to be very careful where you have
where you drink.
Where you drink, you just can't do things.
No, you can't have company sponsored drinking.
Yeah,
and you just if employees go on their own and they become friends, so be it.
Yeah, like a happy hour, they do it, but if the company is paying for open bar, you are fucked.
Yeah, you're fully liable, and
because even you're right, we got off unscathed, quote unquote, but anytime there was there's always little
incidents.
Just little incidents. Yeah. Alcohol just makes people.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the real problem is that there's just this, it's like oh my God, it's a company event. It's open bar. And you take 3 shots before it's 7:30.
I'm fucking all my teammates.
Yeah.
Finally, the Christmas party. I'm fucking all the interns.
Yeah. I mean, and I can't. So what's funny is I had watched an episode or 2 of the Lakers show, Winning Time, and whatever. I've watched 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there, and that is portraying the early '80s work environment.
Yep,
which is batshit crazy.
Yeah. The '80s. I think the '80s is, if you time capsule, is the craziest decade ever for entertainment, celebrities, Hollywood.
For Hollywood, yes. It was definitely a moment in time. I think the 70s and 80s were definitely big.
I mean, I've heard Rob Lowe in interviews say they just brought Coke to the set. These kids were 18 years old.
Yeah.
Now you go to a set, it was there's cookies, there's grilled cheese, there's salads.
You take 16 COVID tests just to even get them.
Yeah. Back then it was here's a bump, here's a pill.
Yeah.
You choose. Bag A or
I
bag
would
B?
love it. Yeah. I wish I had like a friend. I might have said this already on the podcast, but I wish I had a friend. Like I wish like Rob Lowe just happened to be like a friend of a friend. Like because all I want to know is the uncensored real stories of what was going on. Because it had to be insane.
Insane.
Okay. All right, how about this? Spotify. Great little organization. So much so, maybe not so little, but apparently they paid 130 artists more than $5 million in streaming royalties last year.
That's interesting.
So, I mean, that seems like a lot. It seems like a lot to me. I mean, $5 million of royalties feels like a lot in a year.
Yep.
And 130, I mean, if you would have asked me this sight unseen, how many people did Spotify pay over $5 million last year? I would say my guess probably would have been 30.
So, what's interesting is 320 artists earned between 2 and 5 million. 590 artists earned over $1 million. 1,100 artists between $500,000 and $1 million. And this is just Spotify. So if you take an aggregate, and so the biggest artists on Spotify last year were Bad Bunny, Taylor Swift, BTS, Drake, and Bieber. And the most streamed song of last year on Spotify was Olivia Rodrigo's Driver's License. So we could probably guess who the top artists are, but I don't know. I mean, people love to knock that like streaming doesn't pay, but like, one, streaming doesn't pay if you suck. If you suck, it doesn't pay anywhere. Yeah. Like it doesn't pay at McDonald's, it doesn't pay at Spotify. So it's like if you're a shitty burger flipper, you're just not getting paid. And so I think like, dude, 7,000 artists earned between $50,000 and $99,000. 7,000. That's a living.
Yeah,
I know it's split up and writers and this and that, but like, I don't know, like it's really tough to always continue to blame every platform, but the platform is also allowing for discovery that allows you to monetize other things. Spotify doesn't get credit for that. Instead, they just get punished. They don't pay enough. And by the way, they're not making money. If Spotify was printing money hand over fist, I think the argument is fair, but they're not.
Yeah. I also think like if you're an artist and you're complaining, that's your fault. Go independent. So stream your own music. Like Jake Paul and Logan Paul and the Nelk Boys didn't wait on NBC to cast them in a fucking show.
Or they weren't waiting on a deal from a brand to make money.
Yeah.
Instead, they went and did whatever the hell they want.
Exactly. So I mean, it's sour grapes. If you don't like how Spotify's paying you, go somewhere else.
Yeah.
I'd also be really curious to know how many of those 130 or 320, whatever the other number was, are. Actually, you know what? Let's go all the way to whatever the big number was of like 50, 100,000. Like how many of those artists are independent? Because I have to believe it's probably a really big number. And that's the case for Spotify is that you can do that. And you don't have to wait for a label to distribute your music. Maybe I'm totally wrong. But to me, the exciting part of this story is there's got to be a lot of artists on there that otherwise wouldn't have had a shot to release music on a big scale.
Yeah, and by the way,
can make a living.
And by the way, like at the end of the day, a lot of these platforms are driven by data and an algorithm. So if you only have 1,000 listeners, but they're constantly listening to your music, it will start recommending it to other people. Spotify wants to keep you on the platform. So if 1,000 people love a band, they're going to recommend it to people that listen to other types of music because it helps their chance of staying on the platform. YouTube does it. Instagram does it. TikTok does it. I'm sure Spotify is doing it too. So, but the problem is everyone just wants to complain.
Of course, that's the society. Like, is Spotify asking you for the 100K you got at Excess?
Yeah.
Because your song's hot?
Yeah.
And you performed?
They put you on some list and you blew up. They should get your Vegas cut.
And then the touring?
Yeah.
These are the
merch,
tens of millions of dollars in merch and touring. Yeah. That's only because of Spotify, and I mean Apple Music too. But you get the point.
I think Spotify's better at discovery, though. To your point,
yeah.
Like I think more artists are discovered on like Spotify playlists than Apple Music.
Yeah.
But yes, the point still stands, and I agree. I mean, look, I'd be curious to know, once again, like I'd be curious to ask Anthony what one of his, like, does he feel like his big artists that get a lot of streams are underpaid? Because those guys are past the threshold of Spotify being responsible for anything. Are they being underpaid?
And then isn't this the reason that private equity companies are buying every music catalog, right? We've seen Bruce Springsteen, whatever. The thesis apparently is if Bruce Springsteen's getting 3 cents a stream or whatever it is, I don't know what the number is, the private equity firm is going to hold Spotify hostage and say we need 6. That's apparently the thesis in private equity world of why everyone's buying all these catalogs.
Yeah. Well, Spotify's the one screwed here because, like Dee said, they only make money off of Joe Rogan, so everything else is a loss leader. Okay, well, let's see. We'll I agree. All in all, I think it's an easy complaint to have.
Yep.
How about this? We got a list. Everyone loves a good list. We love a good list. Here's a list: the 5 most boring and most exciting jobs in the world.
Did you see it yet?
Nope.
Oh, good.
I don't read them. When they come up now, I don't read them because I want to guess.
Number 1 most boring job in the world.
Truck driver.
That's an interesting one. It's not. Number 1 is data analysis.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh.
Number 2?
Yeah. Number 2 is definitely warehouse worker.
Accounting.
That should be 1.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm going the wrong way here. What's funny? Yeah. I'm not even thinking like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I got it. DMV.
You're getting closer. Number 3 is tax and insurance work.
Oh, fucking obvious. Jesus.
Number 4.
I don't know. What is it?
Cleaning.
Cleaning.
Yeah.
I mean, it could
That's
be
a
an
big jump.
unsavory job, but I don't know if it's boring.
I mean, we just
Depends
jumped
what you're
pretty
cleaning.
hard there from
I
like
bet you-
behind the desk looking at numbers to like.
Let me tell you, I bet you cleaning a hotel room is not boring. I bet
Exactly.
you cleaning a hotel room,
In
you
Vegas,
don't know
it's
what.
like a scavenger hunt.
If you're a Vegas hotel cleaner, I cannot even imagine what those
They should
people
be
see.
walking in with hazmat suits pre-COVID.
They should.
Wow. And number 5 is banking.
It's boring. I agree
No-
with that. I agree with that.
The top 5 most exciting jobs.
Podcaster.
You're not far. Number 1 is performing arts. I guess.
Okay, we're performing
Close.
artists.
Number 2, I don't get what the job is, but I guess it's an industry. Science. I don't know what part of
I mean,
science.
what? Who made this list?
I know. Number 3 is journalism. Number 4 is a health professional. Number 5 is teaching.
I'm surprised with teaching.
Seems miserable. I'm just saying. I mean, look, my brain went to like middle school, like teaching. It seems rough.
I don't know. I bet you it's kind of exciting. Like
Okay.
you don't know what these kids are going to say and do every day.
They're all doing fucking TikTok dances and like, shut up. You don't know who.
I don't know if
Megan
you watched
Stallion
that.
is.
I don't know. I recommended a couple months back. There's a TV show called Abbott Elementary on ABC. If you worked at this school, it's very entertaining.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm being a dick. I'm sure people like absolutely have a passion for it, and there's like a whole different thing than what I'm picturing. I'm just picturing like trying to be like a high school or middle school teacher in like the digital era, and everything that I can tell from social media is that kids just have their phones like in the
Yeah.
class, and like who the fuck's even paying attention? It feels like you're just like wrangling kids.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, glad to see science as a whole made it.
That's got to just be Elon Musk. Everyone thinks science.
Or what, Neil deGrasse Tyson? Like him. That's number 2.
That's exciting.
All right. Well, there you go. I agree. I missed it on the computer. I should have thought like obviously accounting, tax prep.
Oof.
Yeah.
Brutal. I'm surprised attorneys aren't on there.
I oddly assume that data analysts like have a weird love for.
Yeah, I don't think they're
Yeah.
mad at their job.
Yeah, I wonder who made this list. Like, if it's a big difference if this list was Oh, it's a survey, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, learn something new every day. Everyone, start taking a look at science.
You know, growing up in high school and they would in junior high, they would play Bill Nye the Science Guy because science was so boring.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's why Neil deGrasse Tyson is so popular, because he makes it mildly entertaining. Or astrophysics, or whatever the fuck he talks about. Okay, here's a good stat for my people. Reading. Huge boom last year. We talk about all these booms. We talk about the stock market. We talk about everything that blew up during COVID time. So did good old-fashioned print book reading. So,
Average American read 20 minutes a day in 2020.
That's crazy.
That's a lot.
That's
lot. Up 21% from 2019. Print
Here we are.
books had their best sales year ever.
That's why the Barnes & Noble exists at the Grove.
Yep. And
Here we are.
sales climbed even higher last year. I think it's interesting because it's not really broken down by age. Kind of, you know, what demographic that really picked up reading.
It skews high.
Skews older.
Yeah.
TikTok usage went up 7,000%, and teens just don't know how to read anymore.
Yeah, no, they've lost the ability to read. The older folks, I think, are carrying the weight for everybody else.
If reading captions on TikTok goes towards the reading time, then these kids are reading.
That's true.
2 books a day.
Chapters and chapters. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, we're hot, me and my people. But I have a feeling like now, like when you feel the warm weather and, you know, COVID feels over, all that stuff, I bet it's just plummeting.
So
reading this month is probably at an all-time low.
So interesting. They gave on this article in Axios 5 reading tips. And one of the first tips was there are just so many amazing books. And if a book, when you start reading it, isn't like fulfilling you, just stop reading it. Don't waste your time.
Yeah, I agree.
That's interesting. Number 2, make it a habit. That's easy. Number 3, track yourself. So they recommend an app called Reading List to keep track of progress and what you're reading next. Number 4, digital detox. Keep your phone out of reach when you read to eliminate temptation.
Yep.
Number 5, family time. If you have kids, read to them. If you live with a roommate or partner, read together.
I would love 2 roommates in West Hollywood just like reading.
Hey, bro.
Well, you want to hit Bootsies tonight? Nah.
Harry Potter.
Yeah, let's just read together, bro.
Nah, bro.
Can you
Oprah
imagine?
book.
Can you imagine roommates in their 20s reading together?
No.
You know who read a lot when I lived with Brian? Brian read so
much.
much.
But you didn't read together.
They didn't read to you.
No.
You say, hey, D, can you turn off the game? I want to read you this chapter.
I mean, that would have been nice. I'd paid attention.
Put you to sleep?
Yeah.
Brian used to read a lot, huh? Because I remember on vacation, he was always reading.
I mean, he's still vacationing and he's still reading.
Okay. That's good. All right. Well, we're hot. I don't know how we're going to last post, you know, COVID. I don't have high hopes for my people.
Yep.
I have a feeling we're going to get creamed. But hey,
Yeah.
Go grab a book. Follow the tips. Here's a fun topic. Arizona has become the first state to offer your driver's license and your ID on Apple Wallet. I'm a huge fan of this.
And it's crazy that the state is Arizona. You know, like...
I think they probably just don't give a fuck about IDs out there anyway.
Yeah,
They're like,
just
whatever.
like,
Put it on your Instagram. We don't care.
You want a driver's license? Head over to Bottom
fucking-
Blonde, take 2 shots of tequila, and you
There
get
you go. We'll whip one up for you. Yeah, that's the impression I have. But I mean, wouldn't that? I feel like this would be. Seems like a no-brainer, and it also would be so nice. I mean, you truly wouldn't. If you have a credit card or a debit card and your ID, you don't need a wallet.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're getting close to the day where a physical wallet will only be voluntary, maybe for fashion reasons, or you know, I can't think of a functional reason why you'll need a wallet. if you can put everything on your phone. I mean, I guess if you have an Android, you're going to need a wallet for the rest of your life.
Holding an
Yeah.
Android is like
Yeah.
being a Russian billionaire. They're just blocking you out of society.
It's true. It's just true. I wish it
And-
wasn't, but it's true. You just have to. I mean, there's Tim Cook for you though, right?
Yeah.
Like he's just creating all these ways why you have to use Apple and you have to be in the Apple universe.
Eco.
Like it literally, if you're cruising around and the idea of a wallet seems so outdated to you, let's say in like 2 years, but all the old Android users are still carrying around clunky wallets, you feel like you're 10 years behind.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's
Okay,
really
well, good
crazy.
for Arizona. I mean, really innovative. Who would have
Yeah.
thought?
I like it.
Okay, how about this? Larry Fink over at BlackRock, which is the world's largest asset manager. They oversee $10 trillion. Holy cow. He made a statement in their, was this in their shareholders meeting or what was this in?
Yeah. It's their letter to shareholders.
Letter to shareholders, where he essentially just talked about the Russia-Ukraine war and how that's affecting his business and globalization, really, and like what it means for them. That we were essentially on this trend of like true globalization, and now you have this like, people are pulling out of Russia. No one's really investing in Russia right now. It's like you just have this country being kind of taken out of that, and the effect that has on what he does and the world.
Yeah. I think I get what he's saying. It's obviously sounds like a big, scary statement. And I think his point is that like specifically the Russia-Ukraine situation is we clearly have no problem just cutting Russia out of our existence. Right.
Yeah.
And I think that the fact that that happened and happened so quickly shows that like everyone is willing to look at alternatives and everyone wants to look at alternatives internally. And I know everyone was talking about in the beginning of early 2020 when the pandemic was happening about we got to bring manufacturing back to America, and then the supply chain issues happen everywhere. I believe that like specifically America will probably be in an incredible position because the innovation the country has in general, where we will figure out certain things domestically that we just have to figure out. China obviously doesn't have the problem. They make everything, they do everything. They rely on natural resources for outside the country. But a lot of countries are still very heavily reliant on the import of so many goods and so much food and so many natural resources. And I think it's going to be tough going forward. Like this is just the beginning of like instability globally, right? We're not, the countries are not playing nice anymore.
It's the same way we talk about what's happening in America with wealth inequality, that the rich are just getting so rich and, wage inflation isn't happening at the bottom. It's the same thing that's going to happen between first and third world countries. Third world countries, unfortunately, they don't have food security. They don't have energy independence, and they won't even be able to get there. Not in our lifetime.
No.
So those countries are just going to get punished, like, especially if everyone kind of locks their resources because they're afraid of being dependent on someone else. They're the ones that are screwed.
Yeah. And if they don't have an asset that the world needs, they have no trading leverage.
I will say I have a little bit of an alternate take over here at CPAF Asset Management. I think that
How much
How many-
AUM do you have?
How many trillion do you have?
listen, it's early stages, okay, but we're looking at Ukraine heavily, and we feel good about wheat. I think that in a weird way, this is the beginning of like the next level of globalization, because I think the really optimistic thing about what's happening, even though we're in the thick of it right now and it's really, really rough, is really Russia was just the experiment for the next person thinking about doing this. That if you do, you can get completely pulled out of the world economy and you can get crushed in a totally different way. And I think it will disincentivize people from doing the same thing in the future. And there'll be this sort of like, forget about a hot war or whatever. Like you don't want to do that because you don't want to disrupt the global flow and you'll get ripped out of the economy, and that's not worth it. And so maybe we go through this hard lesson, but in the future globalization is actually stronger because who wants to go through that? Putin is just so like he's already too deep and now he's committed. But I don't know. It just seems to me like it's really interesting that you couldn't have pre-globalization. You couldn't have really ripped a country out of just completely flattened their economy in 2 seconds. And to me, that seems positive that warning is now out on the table. He's an example of that.
I hope you're right, but
That's a
if you
good
think
point.
about it, like what China has done in the last 15, 20 years is they've invested tens and tens of billions of dollars in Africa, and effectively they're the bank of Africa. So where all these resources come from that the whole world depends on, like metals and mining and all this different stuff, while our politicians are arguing about masks and vaccines.
Yeah.
And they're just playing chess. So if China wanted to cut certain countries off of resources because it comes from a factory that they effectively own in Africa, they can.
But don't you think that as of today, the U.S. or China can't really exist? We're already too deep.
They're codependent, right? Is what you're saying.
We can't. Like you can't. Neither can pull away from the other. Maybe one day, maybe in a few decades, because China builds such strong resources, whatever. But like right now, they couldn't. They're not even close, and neither are we. Clearly, we'd have no pharmaceuticals or clothing or literally anything. But there's kind of this like mutual. It's like how everyone talked about with atomic bombs. Like it's now mutually assured destruction. There's now war might be dead forever because now everyone can just nuke each other. I feel like we're starting to build that on an economic level where like you both need each other. So what are you really going to do?
Yeah. Look, I think,
And Russia's a perfect like test of like, see, we'll still like eat the losses to pull out of your shit because it's not going to completely crumble us like China would.
But
yeah,
isn't
the problem is
isn't
Russia didn't have anything to offer to specifically the United States, right? Like, and that's why they felt empowered to take that control. Some of these other countries have the other countries in check, so they're going to push and see how hard they're willing to go. These world leaders all have mega egos, and they're willing. I don't know. I just feel like there is a tendency for these folks to like push it if they think they have some leverage over a certain group of people.
Yeah, I don't think China will do anything to the U.S. and U.S. won't do anything to China. But China may do something to a smaller country, and the U.S. isn't going to do anything militarily.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna have to like. Yeah, I agree. I don't know. To me, that seems like a really positive. Like when this war was heating up and we were talking about invasion and all this stuff, I never thought about like the avenue of just you cut them off economically and it screws them so bad. And now that's an example to everyone else that that's also an option on the table. There's like cyber war, hot war, and now you have this economic war that's like a whole other avenue I never even thought about. And I don't think a lot of leaders did either.
Yep.
I don't think Putin thought he'd lose McDonald's.
Putin.
At least I still got Bitcoin.
Yeah, he has Bitcoin at least.
Yeah, at least he still created Bitcoin, so that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, last but not least, we got to do a little LA crime watch. The most recent video. I mean, these things, I feel like every time one of these videos comes out or these things happen, I think like, okay, this is it. Like this is the one where it all ends and someone steps in. And I remember the first time I probably thought that was when there was that shooting at was that Il Pastel or
Yeah.
Il Pastel, right? So that was like a year or so ago, and there was an attempted robbery, kind of accidental shooting. Ricochet hit somebody. Nobody died, but it was like, whoa, like where that happened in Beverly Hills is an area where crime, even the smallest crime, does not happen. And I remember thinking like, okay, this has to be it. Here we are a year and some change later, and there's a video right around the corner from that area of broad daylight. These guys just smashing the front window out of looks like a closed jewelry store.
Yeah.
Stealing apparently $5 million in
Watches
jewelry.
and jewelry. Yeah.
And just running off. Middle of the day, there's kind of some pedestrians trying to like trip them or push them, which I don't know why you do that, but
Yeah.
it's just madness. It looks like The Purge. It looks insane. And
This is,
here we
by
are.
the
It's
way,
still happening.
By the way, South Beverly Drive is where it happened. This is actually a very busy part of town during the day. Like at night, there's nobody there, but during the day,
It's packed.
It's packed. packed.
You saw people all around in the video, and there's like 3 different angles.
Yeah, I mean,
They
what
don't
is-
give a fuck.
And I think like what's
Did they have masks on? Would they?
yeah, they had like beanies or
Yeah, I think now you just wear a COVID mask and you have a built-in. You're following the rules,
You're
and
fine. You could
you're
smash and grab.
you're also a good criminal.
Yeah, I think you know, given that there's a mayoral race happening, there is all kinds of tension between police department and the city and everything that's going on. Like that particular incident is madness. There's been actually quite a bit. There was another incident on that street 2 blocks north where a man was beat up
Mhm.
for his watch and in front of his Ferrari. Like that street has become like a hotbed. It's like the new Melrose.
Isn't that weird?
Like South Beverly Drive is just crime ridden.
Like the safest places in town have become the least safe.
What I
And remember with that El Paseo shooting, we were like, oh well, it ends here. Like Beverly Hills isn't gonna stand for that. Even if LA lets it happen, Beverly Hills isn't gonna let that happen. It's literally South Beverly Drive, the nicest street in LA, is the most dangerous.
I mean, and the problem is like I don't understand why the city of Beverly Hills has its own police department. They should just stick a person there, a person walking, put a horse, and have him coming up and down.
They love those horses.
Definitely
They
on
love
South-
BH, love those horses.
Definitely in South Beverly Drive or the private security. There's tons of private security.
Yeah,
around.
but the city of Beverly Hills, like, think about it. Beverly Hills is basically from a commercial standpoint, it's like 10 blocks. It's not like a whole lot of people walking around outside of Beverly Drive, Cannon, and Rodeo. There's no one else. No one's walking those side streets.
But I'm telling you, it's not deterring business.
What?
It's not deterring business.
So then they should just let him. Whatever.
I mean, I waited an
That's
hour
so weird.
for South Beverly Grill,
yeah,
which is on that street.
that was before the crime, though.
It was in between the two.
Yeah, the two
Man,
crimes.
the
Yeah.
danger zone.
And then-
see, you don't give a fuck. Why was anyone else?
So
They're like,
no,
"Fuck
then
it."
then
The
it's
best
not
part is-
that big of a deal.
They
The
do
crime
make a
is
damn good burger.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting outside with Amanda. We're waiting an hour. The next
And you
restaurant
waited
over.
an hour.
Next restaurant over. John Turgeon and his wife and their friends. They're waiting an hour.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So it
You
doesn't
waited an hour
matter.
to
So
eat
what,
in a war
so
zone.
what,
Yeah,
why
no
are we
one
even
cares.
talking about the crime? Who cares? Let there be criminals. As long as they're not hurting anyone, whatever. Take your jewelry. Take a burger while you're at it.
Take it. No, don't take it. Don't. He waited an hour for that.
Yeah. I would be pissed if someone's like, "Give me all your burgers."
I'd be more pissed. I'm like, bro, I waited so long for this.
Just
shit.
take the
my
watch. Take the watch.
Or like, because you can sit out front in front of South Beverly Grill.
Anyone who sits out on
That's
South
a
Beverly
target.
Drive is a fucking idiot.
Where else are you
No
gonna wait?
chance.
No, I mean, I'm saying
In your
actually
car or
eating.
something.
Yeah, wait in your car.
Yeah.
I agree. You can't be just
It's
wait.
like,
You can't walk
this is what
around that
else is
street.
crazy. You know what else is crazy to me? That's really a sign of the times is that it's the response from the police isn't, oh my gosh, this is terrible. We're going to ramp up policing. We're going to get this. They say, yo, you should stop wearing expensive jewelry.
I think that's their sign to the district attorney's office. We're not allowed to prosecute these guys. So why do we give a fuck?
They don't give a fuck. The answer is, and look, I get it. I know this could be maybe taken wrong, but you're telling me that the answer from the police when walking down Beverly Hills, one of the fancy schmanciest places in the country, the message is stop wearing expensive jewelry, not
We need to
It
do a
needs
better
to be
job.
safer.
Yeah.
yeah.
And
it's
it's
just crazy. That's just where we're at. Is like that's the response.
have you heard? I'm sure you've heard the rumors, but that gangs are just sending like 17-year-old kids because they don't get prosecuted.
Yeah.
They could just get let go if they get caught. So it's a free option.
Yeah.
It is because it looks like 17-year-old kids. Like they were smashing the window, running. Like there was like an older man like shoving them.
Hey,
And
they
they were still
deserve.
just running off.
The shitty part for those kids is the crime boss is going to get the $5 million. What are these kids
Oh,
going to
yeah.
get?
it's
They get a
it's a
pat on the
marketplace.
back.
They're taking a take rate. Everyone gets
They
a
have
take
minor
rate.
take rate, but
They're
they
like,
might get like a
3
they
watches for me, 6 for the crime boss.
They get respect.
I would love to know what your commission is on a smash and grab.
Well, the
It's probably
beauty
not.
of it is the crime boss doesn't know what they actually took.
That's what I'm saying. So let's say they took
Oh,
$5
yeah.
million. How much do those kids get?
So I bet
gotta
you they
pocket a few.
A million.
They,
They gotta take $1 million.
they siphoned off $1 million for sure.
20% is the take rate for your average petty crime.
Because they're gonna siphon off $1 million, and then they probably get paid like what, $5,000 from the leader.
Yeah.
$5,000.
Yeah, I bet it's nothing. I bet it's literally like, we'll bail you out. You got to do this. Pay your
Earn your
dues.
stripes. If you
Yeah.
want to be on the block, earn your stripes.
That's like their Pete.
Yeah.
You know what's Pete's take rate? Same answer. Love you, Pete. Just I'm not trying to dogpile on Pete. Anyway, yeah, it's just fucking nuts. It's nuts how normal it's becoming. That's also the scary thing to me is when I saw the video, I didn't, here we are, like I said, like a year after that El Paseo one, and it was just kind of like, oh, another one.
Let me tell you what's not empty. El Paseo 7 days a week.
Nope. It's going to take a few more shootings to
really clear it up.
slow that place down.
I mean, restaurants are slammed. You go out to eat, you can't get a table anywhere.
No,
So it
that's the
doesn't
crazy
matter.
thing.
Crime's a joke. It doesn't matter.
Crime's just a great talking point on social media to get people riled up.
Yeah. Look what they've
It's
done
just
to their city
weird.
while I'm waiting at El Paseo because you took
I
the
know.
fucking video.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. Oh, that's crazy.
That's
Okay.
crazy that no one
No one's
cares.
behavior has changed.
Yeah.
Because I think the
People are
biggest
brave.
thing-
People are brave. There's brave people just having lunch on South Beverly Drive. Crime-ridden
what I
South
think it
Beverly Drive.
I think if more people started getting assaulted, it would change. I think that you do have the crazy ones like the guy in the Ferrari, and
I mean, that's pretty
obviously-
bad.
it's really bad. But that's all I can imagine. I mean, all I can imagine is like people are literally walking by, watching them break into this jewelry store, and they're like, "Well, I don't know. I mean, they're not hurting anyone. Like, I'll go back." Everyone went back tomorrow.
Yeah.
I
Like
mean,
women are
what
just
changes it?
shopping at the jewelry store.
I
It's
mean,
like
can
stepping
you
over
imagine?
glass.
I guarantee
Yeah.
you the wait at South Beverly Grill, which is right next door to where that robbery is, the exact same it was the day before.
Exactly. So what changes it is my question. It has to be like upped violence.
Yeah, where you're just walking down the street and punch in the face.
I think that's the pact we've made.
Yeah.
Don't beat us up,
Yeah.
and you can rob us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't beat us up and don't interrupt my El Paseo burger.
Yeah. As long as my lunch
South
doesn't get
Beverly
interrupted,
Yeah.
you can do whatever the fuck you want on the street.
Yeah.
That's
There
how
was too much
selfish
jewelry in
everyone
there
is. It's
anyway.
just like, let me be.
Yeah, just let me be. Just do your thing. Run off.
Yeah, let me get a
Insurance will
video
cover
so I
it.
can post it on social.
And act
Pay
angry.
the crime boss.
And then,
I'll
then
act angry.
post your George Gascon Instagram story.
Yeah, keep it
Yeah,
moving.
And
hashtag.
Hashtag.
If all these people are so outraged, vote with your wallet. Stop going to these places.
Yeah. They're saying we're gonna
that's too
protect
much
small
ask.
business. I grew up in LA. These people will not deter me from getting to South Beverly Grill.
I'm a brave soldier.
You will have to take this burger out of my cold damn hands.
They probably think they're patriotic. Like,
Yes.
I'm going right back to South
Yes.
Beverly.
People think those people in Beverly Hills, they literally think that walking down the street is like they're fucking heroes.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I'm
They're literally
walking-
like front
I'm
lines
walking
of the
right,
war.
right into Chanel. I'm going to spend $20,000.
And I'm gonna walk out with my goddamn bag.
With
and
my
I'm-
head held high.
if you want to steal it, you're gonna take it out of my cold little hands.
Oh my god. Why little? Why do they have little hands?
I'm picturing like a petite woman walking out of
Oh,
Chanel.
got it. A brave Beverly Hills soldier.
Thank you for your service.
No, we should do literally like a line at the Chanel store and put like thank you to all the Beverly Hills soldiers on the front line.
Yeah, we appreciate you walking out the store with a bag.
Yeah.
The 20 feet to your car. We salute you. Okay. Well, That's all we
Chanel dropped it like a shirt, like a $2,000 shirt that said like "Thank you for your service."
they should literally just drop a bulletproof vest. It'd be the hottest item in Beverly
Oh
Hills.
my god, it literally would be.
Everyone, imagine a designer bulletproof vest. It
Like
would- every
20K?
person- Yeah. 50K. Fuck it.
Diamond encrusted,
Yeah.
Tiffany blue.
Oh my god. Okay. That's all we got.
Gonna head over to.
Oh, winners losers content.
Yep.
Let's do it.
now Anand and I are going to wrap up the episode with winners, losers content. Who is your winner of the week, Anand?
My winner is a person who was largely a villain for most of the last 12 months, Kyrie Irving of the Brooklyn Nets. He is now allowed to play home games in Brooklyn. He's missed about 35 games, and he was kind of looked at like,
Why was he not playing again? He was not
because he wasn't vaccinated in the New York mandate, he couldn't play in Barclays Center.
Okay.
So he could play the road games, he just couldn't play the home games.
All right.
And what's crazy is he looked kind of like a clown in the beginning of the season because everyone's like,
Yeah, he was definitely one of our losers.
yeah, and he was definitely wrong. Like, he cost his team wins because he refused
They're
to get a vaccine.
8th seed.
Exactly. They're in 8th place because he's incredible.
Yeah.
Like, every game he plays, he's like 38 points, 40 points, and he's only
Yeah.
playing half the games. But then the whole narrative switched because the dummies in New York City would allow unvaccinated fans, unvaccinated opposing players, but he couldn't play.
Yeah.
That's moronic.
Yeah.
So then Kyrie looked like a hero
Yeah.
when he looked like a clown. No one can explain that policy, right?
Well, I think I honestly think when it's all said and done, the people that were anti-vax are all kind of winning.
Yeah, now they are.
Yeah.
Especially because we all got COVID. We're all vaccinated. And look, hospitalization rates for vaccinated people is like night and day to
Yeah.
unvaccinated folks. But, you know, for Kyrie Irving, he could get COVID and he's not going to die.
Yeah.
He's in perfect shape. He's literally like top 0.0001% of the world,
Yeah.
like in health, probably.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the folks that held out for school or didn't want to get vaccinated for work or whatever it is, everything's getting relaxed. I mean, maybe your life was hell for like a year,
Mm-hmm.
but you may be able to just get away with not getting vaccinated if that's what you truly believe in.
Yeah, no, totally. And I think it's just like so funny that the anti-vaxxers were ostracized like last year, and now they're getting celebrated as heroes.
Yeah, it's great. America's an amazing place.
You can get away with anything.
You could do anything you want, and you can always be portrayed as a winner.
Mm-hmm.
Love America. My winner of the week is the stock market and crypto. It is coming back. The Dow and S&P had I think the best week ever last week since like 2019.
Yep.
I think I read a stat that from the low of 2020 pandemic, S&P 500 is up like 100 something percent.
Yep.
Crypto, which has basically been quiet for the last few months, is starting to, I think, with the renewed kind of momentum in the stock market, then everyone's like, okay, we can dip our toes back into crypto. But, look, a lot of these things are still way off their highs. But given that, there's actually nothing macro that has changed in the last 30 days.
Yeah.
In fact, we're deeper into this war. Oil prices are still skyrocketing high.
No conflict resolution.
No conflict resolution. Interest rates are getting raised. There's no good news.
Mortgage rates are higher.
Mortgage rates are higher. So real estate's going to slow. There's absolutely not one piece of good news, but everything is coming back.
Yeah,
and I know stock market is a leading indicator. So is it, I just don't know how leading it is.
No, I think if you look at the charts, the growth tech stocks were down 70, 80% in some cases, or minimum 60.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what
they
you
were
do.
at pandemic levels.
And if you look at the rally's all been in growth. And if you look at the McDonald's of the world, so growth has gone up 30% in the last week.
Yeah.
35%. And you look at traditional Boeing, McDonald's, they've gone up 5-6%.
Yeah.
I
and
think
big tech is on fire.
Big tech's always going to be on fire. And I think people just realize or what you should realize is there's buyers for these companies. When a stock is down 70, 80%, if you're not a buyer of that company, you believe it's a Peloton.
Yeah.
Right? So Snowflake being down 70%, granted, we can't describe it, but everyone thinks it's one of the most generational companies.
Yeah.
And people will buy it. And it's same with, a whole list of names. It's great to see, especially if you're a growth tech holder, that, hey, if you have a great company, there's buyers at some point.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you think it's going to zero, right?
Yeah.
It's one of the two.
That makes sense. Loser of the week.
My loser of the week is, because I've been thinking about this a lot, it's these super high-end prized assets in London, in New York, LA, because many of the buyers are foreign. So now you have Russian billionaires completely sidelined. They can't participate in the Western economies. You have Chinese billionaires completely sidelined. They can't even leave the country.
Yeah.
So if you're a Chinese billionaire and you haven't left China yet, you're not allowed.
Yeah.
And those are many of the buyers of these. Like when you see like the $200 million condo in New York City, it's like, a Russian billionaire. It's Roman Abramovich. It's some Chinese billionaire, and that's all disappeared. So
Yeah.
I'm really curious. And then MBS has sidelined all the Saudi billionaires. He took half their money.
Yep.
I'm curious to see what happens. Right now, you have tech billionaires. Like I just saw a notification. Mark Andreessen just bought a $44 million house in Malibu down the street from his $177 million house in Malibu.
Wow. That's insane. Yeah. I mean, we'll have to see how
When there's
it
no
all
Russians and Chinese competing, it's just going to be Mark Andreessen owning
Yeah, maybe
Carbon
Mark
Beach.
Andreessen buys all the Russian properties. He has enough money.
Yeah.
My loser of the week is Boeing. They had another plane crash in China. I think it was China Eastern.
Yep.
I saw like crazy footage of the plane just nosediving, which just, aeronautic engineering is so incredible. Like these planes don't crash. Like they just don't. And I know a lot of people have suggested watching the documentary on Boeing. So that will be my recommendation because I'm going to watch it. And it's interesting to see like Boeing is like one of the most innovative companies of our generation in American history in terms of aeronautics. And to see all the challenges they've had with planes crashing is kind of deeply concerning.
Yeah. No. I mean, that's scary.
Yeah.
There's nothing else I can add to that.
Yeah.
It's scary.
So that documentary on Netflix is my content. I'm going to watch that this weekend.
Are they portraying Boeing in a negative light?
Yeah, basically saying like they cut corners from what I've heard as
It would be really bad if they're cutting corners on the planes they're sending outside the U.S.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see what the documentary is. But I know a lot of people watched it, and it's just really about like
I don't know if I want to watch it. What if it just scares you from flying?
I won't go anywhere. Where am I going?
I don't know. Content on the way over here. I got a notification that Mark Zuckerberg is on Tim Ferriss.
So he's really doing the rounds. He's just not stepping up and doing Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Maybe he's warming up to it because I'm sorry, like I don't listen to Tim Ferriss.
It'll be softballs.
Yeah, and
Tim Ferriss is a very, very friendly conversation.
Yeah, cool. Go to that's why I think Breakfast Club is good for him.
Yeah, I would love for Charlemagne to.
Yeah, because he'll be aggressive on things that he finds important, but they're not the issues that we know that need to be discussed.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's great. I mean, I listened to half of the Lex Friedman one. It was great.
Was it worth it?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely interesting because like it's really about the metaverse and why Facebook is going after it and what they believe is the future. And
Yeah, I would suspect the Tim Ferriss one's all about the metaverse. He has a lot of like crypto guys on all the time. Naval's always on. Vitalik's been on.
Yep.
There's not going to be the hard hitting questions, I don't think.
Yeah, I believe that. All right. Well, I think that wraps us up. We will see you here back on Sunday. Have an amazing weekend. Enjoy spring. It is here. And we will see you back. Bye-bye.
Peace.